going?
Everything is good over here. How is everything on your side?
It's shocking,
It's shocking.
it's very shocking to
Right,
know that somebody who you personally know
right,
did all of this. And
right,
it's so big all over the media. It's
right.
crazy.
And
Hmm
let me say something to you before you go. Okay. Sometimes when I bring on people on the live, you have to don't pay attention to the comment them, whatever they're saying. Focus on me, right? Because some of these people,
Yeah, it's all good.
them not really right up here, so. And some of them have
Yeah,
mental problem, and some of them have uncle and brother and daddy walk around and feel people girl fit and people boy fit. So you have to see with them.
for sure.
Right,
It's been a norm in the culture of Jamaica
right.
for these things to happen and people just accept it.
Right, and
Yeah.
let's clarify one thing because I'm trying to explain to them that the man dead and them not understand say the man dead. They are saying that in Ghana one different country and all kind of something. So me I try to explain say in dead, in Ghana dead, in spirit God.
He's dead.
Right.
He was actually telling them in the police station that he was gonna die, but they didn't understand what he was saying
In his language. That's exactly what he was saying.
in terms of prophecy.
Right.
They didn't understand what he was saying,
Right.
but they were just laughing and joking. I know Kevin since he was 14 years old. I
Right.
went to church with him.
Wow.
So that man never worked a day in his life.
Right.
He was preaching for all of his life.
Right.
And once he became over 18, he got married. He had a wife.
Mm-hmm.
And he was actually caught here in Canada with multiple different men. But he found a scheme in Jamaica where he could manipulate and trick the system and trick the people.
Right. So the church, so you and him was going to the same church?
We were going to the same church since we were kids.
Wow. And what was his life in Canada? What was his life like in Canada of people liking him or the relationship wise before he got married?
Well, people loved him because guess what? He was young and he proclaimed himself to be a prophet,
Right.
and he was always hearing from God. For some reason, he said he was always hearing from God, but everything that God told him was to kill people or this stuff is going to happen to you.
Right.
Everything was like doom and gloom for him.
Right.
It wasn't anything necessary good.
Right.
Everything was just, and him collecting, offering late fees when you get to church. That's typically what he learned in Toronto. He learned
Oh.
it from all the bishops. So all the bishops here loved him because he was 14, 15, 17, and they groomed him.
Oh.
And once he tried to sleep with my friend,
Mm-hmm.
who is a male, who is a boy,
Right.
and we went to pastor with it. Pastor denied it. Then we went to the overseer. Overseer denies it.
Right.
And they still had Kevin traveling all over preaching and ministering to people until his wife actually caught him with a man multiple times. Then he migrated to Jamaica.
Wait.
And then
They said that he was arrested in Canada.
he was not to my knowledge. He was never arrested in Canada. Kevin was always preaching. He traveled to Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Even years before, Kevin was always in England.
Mm-hmm.
You can even look it up on YouTube. He's been in England.
Right. 'Cause they said that he was in jail for 6 months before he was deported back to Jamaica. That's the news I saw that they said the police said, because the lawyer was confirming that I guess she must have spoke to the police in Canada and they said he was he was in jail for 6 months for having sexual assault with a 21-year-old.
He's been with multiple men.
Right.
Men.
Does he have any kids?
He has one child.
Oh, you have one?
Yeah. that is unknown. So church is a thing where they hide and cover things, because no one would ever come out and say, I know Kevin personally. You know, I've been Kevin's best friend. Everybody right now, they're in a disarray. They're surprised and they're hiding.
Right.
They're hiding. And in order for Kevin to be a bishop, there's other churches out there under him. That's one thing you need to know. Right. So if he's Bishop Kevin Smith, that means there's other churches, and there's other churches doing the same thing that Kevin has done.
Right. So do you know if the child living in Canada, or where the child is living, if it's a girl or it's a boy?
It's a daughter, to my knowledge. Yeah.
Okay. So he does have one kid, and then he was married in Canada, right?
Right.
So was his wife? His wife was going to the same church?
They were going to my sister church. Like they say sister church. Like right now, I don't go to church. I don't have nothing to do with church.
Right.
There's so many stuff that's happened in church that I don't want to be a part of that garbage.
Right.
And yeah.
Okay.
Once Kevin was caught with one of my friends who made a complaint to the pastor, and they covered it, and they actually disgrace you and say, you know, this is a spiritual man. He would never do anything like this. And, you know, do you know who you're talking about and all this stuff? Then, you know, it's just time for you to go. Right. Yeah.
Do you think that when he was in Jamaica and so forth, running the church, do you think that he was still down there having sexual relationship with boys and all of that?
Of course. He was doing that the whole time. You know, it would only take a fool to know that he was not having relations with men and little young boys. Right. Because his main focus was on men. He always disgraced women. He had no love for women. He's always had no love for women and no respect for women.
As you said that, I was watching a video with him, and when the lady gave him the $200, he said to the lady, say $200, when he said $200 can't feed your chink family.
Ching bang pickaninnies.
Yeah, and then the guys then give him the money. His body language towards the guys was always a present way, because they said that
present.
He have three. They said they have 3 little boys that living in the house with him. That's what I heard. I don't know truth it is and so forth. But where do you think he get this money to build this house? Was he? But wait a minute. They said that he was also a dealer in Canada too. That's what they said.
No, that Dr. Love, what I know, okay, when you're a preacher, when you're a minister, remember, Kevin is a master manipulator, right? He went to Bible college. So he studied psychology. Right. Like, he's a master manipulator. Right. So he went to school. When you are a preacher, you get paid to be a preacher. Once you go to any church to preach, that's your money. Right. And people are collecting offering for you 2 or 3 times more. And plus you get like a big check cut to you. So that's enough for him to live off. Since he was 14, he's never lifted a straw in his life. He's never worked like, you know, honest bread. It's just all church money.
So do you know if his wife is still alive?
Obviously, she's still alive. But if they're church people, they're not going to come out. I would love for her to say her piece on the man she really knew, or who knows if she's going to come out. You get it? But Kevin is a person that does not respect women. Right. He's always humiliate women, always. And for all these women to be talking about him like he's some god, he is not. What they use on you it's called conversational hypnosis. Right. So there are certain words that they say, and they hypnotize you and they put you under a spell. And that's how these preachers can get you to do certain things without you knowing. And that's how he could get these police officers to be shooting after other police officers, because they're hypnotized and they're under a spell.
So let me ask you a question. What do you think happened in that car? Yes, I mean, wait, before I go there. What I noticed is that when he was in the police station, there was something funny about his whole conversation and his chanting, he was chanting and so forth, right?
Right.
What do you really think have happened? Because you know him. You know him very well. We don't really want to see him and so forth. You grew up with him. You was in the same environment with him and so forth. What do you think happened to him in that car yesterday?
I think when he was in, this is spiritually deep. I think when he was in the police station, he was telling him their destiny. Because I think for him to have this plan that he's going to slaughter 144 people, I think what he was doing, the devil requires more blood. Whoever is in those kind of rituals, they always want more blood. So I think that was to buy him more time, right? Whatever deal he makes. If you notice, he operates like the African church. And some of the stuff that he's learned it in Toronto, you know, under certain bishops. So the power that he's operating under did not buy him, whatever happened at the church, it didn't buy him enough time, because he didn't get to slaughter all the people that he wanted to. So he knew that it was going to be the end for him, right? And I think Kevin knew it was time to go. And he was never going to tell on anybody who was involved. He would have never. If you know Kevin, if you look at his interview, he was just smiling. And he was telling them, rapture means rape. And he was talking like effeminate, like almost like he's a lady. And then he started to prophesy that God called him since he was 9 years old and all of this and all of that. So I think Kevin, whatever demon that was working with him, I think it worked and caused an accident. And then he's under, he's under some.
Right. I mean,
go ahead.
And then the young man, which is the policeman that died in the car accident, because I was talking to a spiritual leader yesterday, and I said that young man in the car, that is also a part of sacrifice, because whatever happened in the car yesterday, it did have to happen. And I get to understand that the other police officer, that based on what have happened and the way Kevin was, they probably don't even make it, right? And and what they were saying, that what behind the scene was saying is that when he left the police station, the higher spirit that he was working with, right, that he tapped into, was just waiting for the perfect time to make whatever happened and so forth. And when you look at him with the whole accident and the way he died and so forth, you could see that something terribly went wrong, and those police officers see something in the car, whatever it is. They know what it is, and they probably never lived to tell the story, which one died and so forth. And with that and so forth, one thing, I said this before, of what my spiritual ways tell me, that I do believe that there's body at that church and there's body at his home buried. Do you know him?
I think Kevin was always doing this. He just got busted. He was always doing this. Look at those people who he rented the place to. He chained them in the house. I think he was always getting foreigners from abroad and slaughtering them. And because Jamaica is so slack, they haven't figured it out that this man has been murdering people for years. And I think the church is buried on a lot of a lot of dead people, and they need to do forensic scene. They need to mow that shit down and just, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
And the I do believe that this may sound crazy, but I was looking at the home, and I was looking at a particular way in the home, and I'm saying, looking at it, and I say, you know, that people is buried there. You know,
right.
He's been doing it for years and burying people. This man was like a serial killer that have been doing it and tapping into spirit. And also the females then that was glorifying him in the church. I was saying that I don't think that those females should get involved with any farmer guys. And I think that family member who have family that was going to that church, they need to look deeper within to them, because I don't know Kevin, you know Kevin, and the
right.
system that he have done over the years. And then what do you think about I mean, we don't have to call a name, but what do you think about the church in Canada, the pastor them over there, that where he was going and so forth? I know there's a lot of things we can't talk about, I understand, but I know
there's a lot of things that's happening in church, because multiple times when things happen in church, they just bury it.
Right.
Bury it. Okay. For instance, it so happened that one of my good friends is a minister.
Right.
And I went to him. This is something that somebody came and confessed to me. Right. Like, say, for instance, we'll use the name Cheryl. We'll use the name Cheryl for, I'm sleeping with Sister Cheryl. And Sister Cheryl's husband is my friend, and who is a minister. And I went, this is a true story, but we're just using this thing for example.
Right.
And I went to him. I went to my friend and I said, you know, so-and-so said that they're sleeping with your wife. You know what the guy said to me? He said, that's a lie. And he is spiritual enough to see and how God gave him this wife and all of this stuff. And it turns out that two of the child, the woman had 3 kids. It turns out that 2 of the child is not for him out of all 3 children. And this is church.
Oh.
And it ended up that the same woman even bust fight in church physically over this now. Right? So there's some nastiness. It turns out that there's another minister who I'm working with at my workplace who's sexting off all the young girls. And when I went to Pastor Wife, who is supposed to be like my mother, and I went and I said, you know, brother so-and-so, who is actually a preacher too, ministering, praying on people, crying tears and speaking in X amount of tongues. And I say, you know, a bunch of girls came to me and they said they're sleeping with them. The woman actually started to hate me. Hate me. So I became like the enemy in church now. I caused too much trouble because this is not right. If these people say that they're serving God, then why you as a minister, you're a playboy at work and you're calling your wife your sister? You get it?
Right.
So this minister was sleeping with a whole bunch of girls. He has his wife and his daughter, and he told people that he only has 1 daughter, he's not married. And even have women at work fighting over him. And I went to the higher people who's in charge, and they say, no, none of that is going on. And these are people who is preying on you. So they're transferring spirits onto you.
Whoa.
And there's a lot of molestation that goes on in church.
Yes, there's a lot. There is
a lot. I'm not saying that God is bad. It's the people.
Correct.
It is the people. You know, if you don't know God for yourself, and if you don't stand up for yourself and know the word of God for yourself, you will become one of these individuals also. Because so many people are wondering, how can Kevin get so much people to do all of these things?
Right.
It's called conversational hypnosis.
Right.
He hypnotizes you while he's having a conversation with you, and you don't know it.
He does look like he does stuff like that. He does look like
Yeah.
he's very good at his mouth, how he talk, and he's very good at putting food on the table to get you comfortable.
Right. Right.
And I do.
So
go ahead.
I think poverty had a lot to do with stuff, because he was taking young boys from their moms,
Mm-hmm.
and he was having intercourse with them, and he was using them, and he was playing in front of the parents' eyes with that. So a lot of it's called poor is a crime.
Yes.
You know, because in our culture, because a person can do something for you, you overlook the things that they're doing, even if you're being abused. And that's what he did. Look at that picture with him in the water, and there's a young man holding an umbrella over his head. What kind of nonsense is that?
That was crazy. When I saw the young man holding the umbrella and he's in the water, I'm like, something not right about this. It's just not right.
Yeah, it's nonsense. You know, like, he was using these people as personal slaves.
Right. Somebody asked us a weird question. They said, I'm only going to read this one comment. They said, how hypnotize you?
How he didn't hypnotize me?
Yeah, that's what somebody says.
Because I have a spirit and I can see through falseness. And Kevin was a false prophet from day one. Right. Anybody who knows him, he was a false prophet from day one. He only hypnotized Jamaicans because Jamaicans love foreigners.
Right.
And Kevin is from foreign, and he's been all over the world. Yeah. He's even been to the Philippines. And Jamaicans love people who take planes. Yeah. And remember, Kevin was not my bishop. I know Kevin when we were kids.
Right.
And we went to the same church. Mm-hmm. And he hung out with pastors that were grooming him to become the monster that he became. And as you can see, mm-hmm. as he became that monster, he physically changed. His appearance physically changed. His face changed. If you look at the pictures of Kevin back then, it's not Kevin now. Because God loves children. And once you start hurting children, you turn into a monster physically. And that's what he became. He became a monster.
You said that Kevin, he was very skinny?
He was very skinny.
Wow.
He's very skinny and he's tall.
I thought he was always fat.
No. Kevin, no, Dr. Love. Over the past 2 years, Kevin has gained that weight. Kevin was always skinny.
Whoa. So where you got the weight from?
I think he got the weight from the human sacrifice, hurting children, the drinking of blood, and all of that. Yeah.
Oh, because he looked like somebody that drink blood.
Yeah. From the sacrificing, he dabbled in a bit of everything. Mm-hmm. He had intercourse with women. He was into animals, and he was into men. You can see that on his face.
He was like, you mean he was messing with animals too?
Well, they had cows there at the church, of course.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. I think he looked like a vampire to me. He does look crazy. Do you think? Yeah. Do you think it stopped there?
What do you expound on that?
All right, like, okay, now he's dead, and we understand that he have tapped into something that he should have never tapped into in the first place. So now he tapped into that, and they have taken out. People now, here's the thing that I don't like about people. People are so stupid with not knowing the knowledge and take everything for a joke, right? Now you and me know and others know that this is
right,
and this is reality, right? So people think that, okay, a person that tap into spirit, go deeper into spirit, They just die and that's it, right? So what I'm saying is that now he's dead. He's dead, but his spirit and whatever he tapped into now, what do you think is going on, or which way to say? His spirit will be also becomes just like the police station, for example. Right? He was at the police station. And I do believe that that police station is under a lot of problem. The fact that he was there. Right? And I do believe that his spirit went into something else. Because when you tapped into those things, it doesn't stop there. That is my concern. So what do you think? That going to happen now? You think the journey...
Is it me who's cracking up, or are you?
No, I think it's the internet. Sometimes it go in and out. It's the internet. Maybe we should restart it. Let's restart.
So do I think that Kevin... I think that some...
Huh?
Okay.
All right, restart it. Okay.
I think that somebody will try to use his spirit.
Right. And don't you think that the government, they should bulldoze down the church and bulldoze down the house? Don't you think they should demolish those properties?
Of course. Of course. I think it should be taken apart, because there's a lot of people who have lost family members through that. You know, it doesn't matter if I have proof. I know this is somebody who I know personally.
Right.
This is somebody who say they prophesied to me. This is somebody who I sit down and eat with. I know him personally. Right. I'm not just making up stories. I know him personally. You know, because when these people, when they came out with Kevin, I said, it's just normal Kevin to me, you know, and people are saying, where this guy came from? And I keep saying, he's from Canada, you know, but everybody's like, where this guy came from? He's from Canada. He was raised in Canada most of his life. And he found a way to make money in Jamaica. And that's what he did.